Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Otisa. How are you? Oh, let me go get something to drink real quick. Oh, I am glad you are good. I understand trying to finish up some things. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know how it is to be busy trying to get it all done. So I appreciate you, sis. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tawana Rivers. This is Talisha Shine. We are here with the 10K Project. We have an amazing guest joining us that's going to educate us on what she's doing. But I want to introduce you all to Miss Sandra Jones. I want you guys to hear everything Sandra's going to talk to us about, especially for our entrepreneur, excuse me. Sandra has a company that has fractional CFOs. And so I just want to geek out on it because as a small business owner, right, knowing the type of expertise that a service like that can bring and how valuable it could be to the success of a small business, I cannot wait to talk about this. Here at the 10K Project, it's just Talisha and I, right? And my son as a contractor, right? Doing some of the creative stuff for us. So it's just the three of us. And none of us are accountants, right? We hire accountants and bookkeepers, but that's not our specialty. And when we think about being able to have the level of expertise that a fractional CFO can bring to an organization, I'm in awe. And at the end of this, I'm hoping there's some kind of offer where you're going to tell us how we can get down because because I want in, okay? But Sandra, if you can tell us a little bit about you, your background, and then let's just talk. Let's talk and educate the people.
Absolutely. So good evening, everyone. Again, thank you guys for inviting me. My name is Sonia Jones of GIP Financials. We are a remote bookkeeping firm that's headquartered here in Memphis, Tennessee. GIP is an acronym for Get in Position, and our mission is to empower entrepreneurs to prioritize their numbers, basically to know your numbers and position your businesses for profit. And we do that in four I say our four service pillars, if you will. So the first one is bookkeeping, which is basically financial data entry. We also serve nonprofits as well. The second one would be tax filing. So I don't do the tax filing. I actually have an accounting manager, Latasha Phillips, who does the tax filing. And also we partner with Michael Tunstall of G1 Business Group. So Latasha pretty much handles personal as well as like Schedule C, sole proprietor, tax filings, and I call them Brother Tunstall. Brother Tunstall handles like the 990s and the S Corp corporation partnership filings and such. The third thing we offer is what we call funding application assistance, because there are a lot of businesses that are trying to seek funding, whether it's a loan or a grant. And when the grantors or the lenders are asking about the profit and loss statement, about the cash flow statement, the balance sheet, things like that, we help them get those documents together. And especially
Right.
even on the grant side, we help them financially be able to articulate what the budget is instead of just pulling numbers out the air, make them make sense, to tie into what your current financial situation is. And then last but certainly not least, what we call the fractional CFO services, or we call the financial coaching. So basically the word fractional is just part-time. That's basically all that it means. And the purpose of a CFO is to help you not just with the bookkeeping side of it, the data entry, but more of the what I call the money thought buddy. That's the best way I can put it, right?
Mm.
So helping you to walk through what the profit and loss means, right? Be able to identify trends in your reporting, give you an action plan on how to, if some things are not looking where they ought to be, let's try to talk about, putting together an action plan. And then also we talk through budgeting. And also, depending on how large your business is, and with nonprofits, we talk about something called internal controls, which are basically your money systems. And it can be for things as simple as how you receive cash, how you pay your vendors, how you make deposits. Every part of your financial being as a business or as an individual, for that matter, should have some type of system. Right, because when we get ready to do file taxes, whether you're an individual or a business, you should be able to have some type of system to retrieve those documents, quickly. And so you can file your taxes, hopefully, before the deadline.
Right.
So those are basically our four service pillars and what we provide. And another thing that I like to talk about is I call myself the Mr. Miyagi of money. And if y'all remember the Karate Kid, you remember Mr. Miyagi, he helped Daniel-san learn karate through like unconventional yet fundamental, style of teaching. That's what we do. We understand that entrepreneurs as well as, individuals, money is a very, very sensitive subject. People come to us say, oh, Sonya, oh, Latasha, or Diamond, Stantasia. Those are my folks from my team. Oh, we screwed everything up, things like this. So we have to go in first, just, having a mindset discussion with our entrepreneurs and our individuals to say, you are not your numbers. We got to separate you, from that, because a lot of folks come in, with a lot of guilt and shame and embarrassment. And we want to make sure that we identify ourselves with you as a partner. We're not here to scold you, right? But we're here to work with you, right? So that's basically the essence of what we do here at GIP Financials. But if anybody would have asked us what our superpower is, it's definitely teaching. So that's
Mm.
my background. I am a former elementary music teacher as well as a school administrator. Before I came into GIP Financials full time, I was a charter school director of finance and operations. And so that's how GIP Financials came to be. So this is a funny story. So when I was the DFO for the charter schools, my boss was a 35-year educator. He still doesn't say he is. He still is. He's still alive. And so I gotta make sure I use my first right way. So a lot of his former students had children, grandchildren, and things like that. And of course, they, a lot of them were, had side hustles, businesses. So they were asking him, basically put me on. Mr. B, put me on. And so he was like, of course. So they'll walk them down to my office. And of course, with us being a charter school, every penny has to be accounted for, because
Mm.
there's somebody called the Tennessee State Comptroller that we have to make sure that everything is accounted for. So when those individuals will come to my office, we will not pay anybody without issuing them a W-9.
Okay.
And that's where, the side eyes start coming in and sidebar conversations start happening. Because, like I told them, if you're wanting to do business with the school, we have to do things the right way. The two main conversations I had with most of the vendors was completing that W-9, because they basically wanted to get paid under the table. They didn't want to
Table,
be held
right.
accountable. And asking us to pay them through PayPal, friends, and family. We can't do that. Absolutely not. So once we realized, and we spent a lot of time, my team, we spent a lot of time walking the vendors through how to create an invoice, talking about the difference between accounts receivable and accounts payable. And I was like, this is just weird how all these folks are having businesses. Who is teaching them the basics of the fundamentals of, accounting and bookkeeping for small businesses? And clearly nobody was doing that. And so on December the 17th, 2019, GIP Financials was born. And then months later, pandemic happened and the blessed PPP started. Right?
Ah,
Oh, and that money just started coming from everywhere. Folks was applying for stuff, and it was just a free for all. To the point where we had folks that was just chomping at the bit to get the money, and then the legitimate businesses were scared to get the money because this was Fed money, right? And so we had to break the fallow ground. So
mm,
we had to make sure that everybody understood that the eligibility requirements and the things that are going to help you set yourself up for success to not only just get the loan but to also have it forgiven. And so we had a couple of folks that didn't want to follow it the right way, so we had basically had to say, thanks but no thanks, we can't do that.
mhm.
And those who were ready, we helped them, and we had 7 businesses to get their PPP loans forgiven under our watch. So we had
Yes.
100% success rate. And since then, it's just been, kind of, you know, and the rest is history, right? And so we do a lot of workshops with a lot of nonprofits as well as like business minded organizations such as the BBA and SCORE and things like that. So that's pretty much who we are. We are in evangelism season right now. This is quarter 4 of the year. And so we are doing a lot of information about taxes and how you can set yourself up to file your 2024 taxes the right way. So that's pretty much us in a nutshell.
This is wonderful. First of all, thank you on behalf of all the small business owners, right? Thank you for this. And I can, we believe in transparency around here at 10K Project, right? Starting a small, I'm a corporate office kind of, right? 30 plus years in corporate environment. Never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur, right? Always kind of had an entrepreneur spirit, but never found, it's kind of like a tattoo. Never found that thing I wanted to stick with forever, right? And
Mhm,
so the 10K project kind of happened upon us, right?
mhm, mhm.
And from a creative side, we were all in, right?
Right.
But then when you think about all of the requirements that a small business has to adhere to, that was a whirlwind. And it was definitely something I had to learn how to do. We had to learn how to do it. And
Mhm,
unfortunately, we did not have a GIP financials, right, to come and help us. And so we bumped our heads a little bit.
right.
And we scuffed our knees up quite a bit, right? Trying to
Absolutely.
figure it out. And even now, there are challenges that we work through, right? Now, luckily, we've been blessed to have, accountants and lawyers and bookkeepers that have helped us through the process. But even finding reliable specialists like that has been a challenge. It's not one would think, oh, I'll just get a bookkeeper, I'll just get an accountant, but they are not all created equally. And
Right.
so
Exactly.
that was a challenge. And so to have a reputable resource is priceless to a small organization. It is the thing that can be the not just the success or failure of a business, but if personally the founder gives up because it's too hard, right?
Exactly. Mhm.
And I don't imagine a lot of businesses close down because they never find the right partners to help them through it. And they just say, I just wanted to draw, right? I just wanted to paint. I didn't want to do taxes and do book. I just wanted to make the world a better place, right? And so they
Mhm.
just completely give up on business because of that part of it. So thank you for the work that you do. And I really, really mean that.
You're welcome.
It is,
Thank
it is,
you.
it is, I imagine if any of those founders are like me, it is saving businesses
It
because
is.
it's hard out these in these entrepreneurs. It's hard out here in these entrepreneur streets for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Alicia, did you want to add anything to that?
I love the story in the sense that it is about an education. You don't know what you do. Everything in a life is about learning something and how to do. And even if you're not the person who's doing it, like I said, you have to still ask the right questions. You
Mhm.
still are the person. And I always say, like, being a business is different from running a business. And
Right.
running a business is a very strong skill. And that typically isn't the person. The CEO is typically not that person. That is
Right.
why you delegate things. And it's hard to find what you want or what you need because you just think, oh, I'll just keep a little spreadsheet and it all makes sense later on. And you're like, oh, I can just do that. You never know what you need because this is not something that you do. And so making sure that you have a solid foundation, and it is like teaching them, I'm not asking you to do everything. I just need you to do your part so that I could do my part and we could all move this together, and everything changes. I think that's another part of business right now. Just in the last few years of us running this business, we've had new requirements like the BOIR things
Yeah.
just came
Yep.
across, like all these new things. And you're like, how would I know that? But you're responsible for that. Even if you don't know, you can't use that. Well, I didn't know. That's not acceptable when you're running a business that you don't know. You need somebody to help you. And I love the fact that you took that educational part and made it into helping them help themselves, because that's what teachers do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought up the BOI because that's one of the things that we've definitely been talking about as well. We also have a podcast called the From Chaos to Clarity Unleash Your Business Potential podcast. And so we just basically talk about the importance of knowing your numbers and the different, you know, subjects and questions that come up when it comes to what I call fundamental business finance education. And we also, the guests that come on our show, whom I call our money friends, such as our tax preparers, our tax planners, CPAs, and even some of our clients who have come on to talk about their transformation since once they invested in and taken, to heart knowing their numbers, from getting like winning pitch awards and getting grants and just knowing things just in general and being more confident, to do things on their own.
Yeah,
That's
that's wonderful. One of the things I've realized lately in talking to some other founders is that a lot of companies are straying away from the small business entrepreneur, right?
Hmm.
That they're chasing the big money, right?
Mhm.
And so what are your thoughts about that? Is there a reason that migration is happening?
If, in my opinion, just kind of seeing it as a bookkeeper, probably just because of if you want to say, for lack of a better term, inconsistency,
Mm,
with entrepreneurship. Because if there are opportunities, so I'll use the city of Memphis, for example. So the city of Memphis, they do a lot of, support for entrepreneurs, but one of the things that they talk about when, issuing contracts and things like that is that particularly the minority business owners aren't equipped, you know, with even from the certification, they don't have the necessary documentation. Um, when it comes to liability, things like that. I saw somebody was talking about risk.
mhm.
A lot of those things do come into play. So when you're thinking about the larger businesses, you don't have to worry about liability. You don't have to worry about, cash flow and teams and things like that when it comes to partnerships. So that would probably be the first thing I would think of.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely unfortunate.
Mhm.
Because, again, we talk about the challenges small businesses have. If we lose our professional support, then doesn't help us. Then we have to start that process all over again. Is finding someone trustworthy and respected, and right, someone who has that educator spirit that can really help us be better. And so I'm hearing a lot of founders struggling with that, just finding the right partner after being kind of let go by their previous partner.
Right, and that's, to be honest, one of my pet peeves. Because like we'll be in, organizations or be invited by organizations to talk about or you'll see workshops about being bankable and things like that. And they talk about the importance of credit and all that, but nobody's talking about bookkeeping. They'll talk about you got to have the profit and loss. You got to have your tax return. It should, look like this, that, and the third. But nobody's talking about
And
the
that's where it starts. It
fundamentals.
starts with the fundamental, right? It starts with the bookkeeping.
Fundamentals, right? That's just part that's just kind of like put us in the game, coach. Put us in the game, because I think in those instances, once the entrepreneurs are able, to at least hear it and be aware of some things, I think that's part of it too. Lack of awareness, then a lot of the frustrations, will subside, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that as small businesses, let's talk about small businesses first.
Okay.
But as a small business, what are some of the things I need to be mindful about as I think about, 2024 tax preparation and just even strategy?
Very good. So I would say the first thing to be aware of is knowing what you need for taxes. And matter of fact, can I share my screen? I want to share the
Absolutely.
tax prep checklist, and I'll make sure um to make sure everybody gets a copy of this.
Nice. We'll put it, so what we do is we send the replay out, and if you
Okay.
send that to us, we'll get it into our email, where we'll attach it to the email with the replay.
Okay, dokie.
Yeah, we'll also add the link to the podcast because I think that's going to be helpful as well. Chaos to Clarity. I love that name too.
Yes, give chaos to clarity. So hold on, I'm trying to find my little screen. Here we go. So I'm also a comedian, so it needs child when it comes to this technology, it does its own thing sometimes. So I wanted to kind of share with you guys the tax prep checklist, but to answer your question, to one, the first thing I would say, vet your information on social media, please. Please vet it. We've been seeing and
Good
hearing a
advice.
lot of from the BOI. I'm gonna be honest, from what I've seen, particularly with the BOI, a lot of people are using those fines as scare tactics to get people to say, you know what, apparently they're using all these big words and these fines. I don't want to get fined. And they offer the service of filing the BOI for you. But
Ah,
many people, like, you can file it for free. It takes less than 10 minutes to do, and you can file it for free. And then also we see a lot about the S corporation, and businesses saying, I'm gonna get an S corp. I'm gonna get an S corp. Friends, you cannot get an S corp, right? It's a tax election,
right.
right? And the purpose for the S corp, yes, it provides tax savings, but you have to have a significant amount of net income to, to be recommended for the S corp election. So I just wanted, those are the two biggest things that I see a lot of the time. So especially when we get like discovery calls and we ask like, what's your entity? I'm an S corp. And then we start asking questions to kind of see where they are in that regard. But I definitely want to let folks know that those are the two most common things we've seen recently that I just have to debunk. S corp is a tax election. You cannot go to the Secretary of State and apply for an S corporation.
Excellent.
A regular
Good
corporation or a
advice.
nonprofit, yes, but not an S corp.
That is very good information. So Ms. Patrice asked, what is the BOI? So it stands for Beneficial Ownership Information Report, right?
Correct.
And it's governed by, is it FinCEN is the
Yes.
organization?
Mhm.
And so
Yes.
basically they want to know who are the owners of the business, right? Is that essentially what's being asked?
Absolutely. That's basically all they want to know. Um, and that's another thing that we get get a lot about too. A lot of people assume that it has something to do with taxes and income. We have a TikTok page as well, and I don't even know how this happened, but I did one video on the BOI, and it got like over 200 some thousand views. Um, but just in a lot of the questions folks are asking are, I have an LLC, but I hadn't done anything with it. Do I still need to file? It depends. A lot of times, if you have LLCs and you haven't done anything with it, the Secretary of State will do what they call like an administrative dissolution. right? Where they'll just terminate it because you haven't probably paid your renewal fees and things like that. But if it has been terminated or dissolved before January the 1st, 2024, you do not have to worry about it. Okay. So, but if it's still, laying dormant, you hadn't done anything with it, I recommend that you go ahead and dissolve it. But if you dissolved it after January the 1st, you do still have to complete the form.
Okay. And what are they going to do with the forms? Like, that was the question I had. Like, I understood what the form was for, and we filled ours out, and it was really quick to do it, right? We've got a couple of businesses together, so I think we did 3 in one day. But I don't know that I'm clear on how are they going to use it.
I'm not clear on that either. I kind of gathered between the PPP
Mm-hmm.
and some other situations where people were creating LLCs to mask and hide other operations that they were doing. This is pretty much how this came to pass.
Oh,
So, because a lot of people are asking too, like, I'm just now learning about this. I'm scared I'm going to get fined. Like I told them, we got a new administration. We don't know what's going to come of this. I'll be the first one to say, like the Tennessee Secretary of State, shame on them. They did not send any correspondence about the BOI. They only got one little old banner. If you go to the website, it's just like had a little banner BOI. That's it, right? And I don't know. I just kind of feel like, you know, they may do certain things, on purpose, but that's just me on my soapbox. But I'm just,
feel
but
you on
yeah,
that,
I
though. I
think
feel
that
you on that. It's the setup.
with a capital S. So yeah, that's why I would advise anybody, if you're just now hearing about this tonight and you have an LLC or corporation, nonprofits, hear me clearly, you are tax exempt. Nonprofit organizations are exempt. Okay, but I recommend every nonprofit go to the FinCEN website. They have an FAQ sheet and they have an exemption list. There are 23 exemption categories. Please check to make sure. Do not assume. This the feds. Do not assume. Right?
Right.
And they're very good. Shout out to FinCEN. From what I saw on those exemptions, they have done a very good job of letting you know what the eligibility requirements are for said exemption. Right. But please check it out.
Okay. So Talisha, you just looked that up. Tell us what you just posted.
Yeah, I was thinking because I asked for the purpose. You get the information, that whole PDF that I put in there tells you all the whole thing about it. But this is really the purpose. I purposely asked that question, like, what is it being used for? And it is for fraudulent information. That's really what it is, to avoid shell corporations. And that's why they want to link you to, like, oh, you're just hiding behind an LLC. Now I see the owner of this. And so if you have too many, you got 5 LLCs and they all claiming the same thing, you may obviously now be committing fraud.
Right. Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah. And on the FinCEN website, somebody that they have a question that asks like which I guess federal organizations are going to have access to that information. Is on there as well.
Nice. Very good. I love the point you made about people trying to um take advantage of others by saying, the fine, you can be fined hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you don't get this done. Let us file it for you for $199. And so people are racking up bank, right? When literally I think it's like maybe 5 or 6 questions, and it does take less than 10 minutes even, right?
Absolutely.
I think it took us a little longer because we read everything twice because we're just crazy like that, right? Before we
Nothing
checked
wrong with
any
being
button.
thorough. Nothing wrong
But
with
it's really, really easy to do. In the beginning, when it first was announced, which is when we filed ours,
it.
the site I think was congested because at one point, like, we were getting error messages when we tried to submit, and we just had to do it a couple more times and let it go through.
Yeah.
Um, but that was early on, and I haven't heard any of those horror stories, like it was almost like the server was crashing in the
Mm.
very beginning of it. But one of the things that we have to start doing, which is why, again, a GIP financial support is critical, is we've got to educate ourselves on things, because there are a lot of founders that can't even, pay the light bill in their businesses, but they're scrounging up $199 to pay somebody to complete this form because of the scare tactics. And
Right.
so this is just another example on why we need the right people in our corner to educate us, so that we're not throwing money out the window, right?
Right.
On things that we don't need to, because no matter how kind people seem, there's always someone out there looking to prey on us. And so
Mhm.
we've got to be mindful of that and really, really pay attention. So for any of you guys here at the 10K Project that are business owners and you have not completed your form yet, please go to www.finson.gov. You can follow the link for the BOI form and take your time, go through it. Again, minimal questions, read it thoroughly, and just complete it. Don't be afraid.
Mhm.
I think the only reason we should be afraid is if we don't do it, right?
Right.
So, just be mindful of that and get it done. The deadline isn't the deadline 12/31? Has to be done
Right.
before 1/1?
Yeah, so just to clarify, if your LLC or your organization was started before January the 1st, 2024, you have until December 31st to file. If your organization was established after January the 1st, 2024, you have 90 days from the day that it began. But starting in 2025, if your organization is started after January the 1st, 2025, you have 30 days.
Okay. So that's really good information for those of us who are looking to start new businesses, right? We only have 30 days from the start. If we start them in 25, we'll only have 30 days to get this form completed. So that's really, really good information.
Right. So yeah, I highly encourage, like I said, even if your entity started after January the 1st, go ahead and get it filed as soon as possible. I'd say not to worry about the fines, but just go ahead and get it filed, right? Because I honestly feel like probably with this new administration, there's probably going to be some changes, right? So everybody just kind of sit tight, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see what happens.
See
And
what
do you
shakes
have to
down.
file it every year, or is it just a one-time filing?
Just one time, but if there are any changes to your LLC, you would have to make sure that you make those changes on your BOI form as well.
Okay.
Okay. So if ownership changed,
Yes,
because I think it even asked did it ask for percent of ownership, if I'm not mistaken? It asked for that.
yes, yes,
Mhm.
it did ask
So,
for percentage of ownership. Mhm.
all right, very good. So what else is on our checklist here? Our tax prep tech checklist. I like that it's just a simple list. It's not 25 pages, right? It's not intimidating. This looks doable. Like I look at this and I don't run for the hills,
Yeah, and so I will say that when we last did this, we did this for the Black Chamber of Commerce of Memphis. So that's why a lot of it is contextualized for the state of Tennessee. But I am going to change it to make it more generalized. So I'm just letting you know that. So
Okay.
for the tax prep checklist, just to run down what you need to do, and you can start doing this now in quarter 4. One is to calculate all your income and your expenses. Some of the things that we notice with our clients, especially for those of us who are using any of the POS or merchant systems like Shopify, PayPal, Cash App for Business, and things like that, be mindful that when you get that net payout, say after you get a sale and then maybe a day later the platform pays you out, just make sure to know that that payout does not include it subtracts your merchant transaction fee, but know that that transaction fee is tax deductible, right? So what you need to do, like say if you had $100 sale on PayPal, you might get $97 back, right? Technically, on your tax return, you should record the gross sale, the $100, and then that $3 for the transaction will be a deductible expense.
That's
Okay.
great advice.
Right. So, because we see that a lot of times too, where um, some people will assume that tax preparers are bookkeepers and vice versa, and they're not. And they'll just basically take your bank statements, calculate all your deposits, calculate all your expenses, and that's it. Right. And so, and especially for those of us who may be commingling between personal and business, you could possibly be, paying taxes, on expenses and income that shouldn't be that shouldn't be reported, and vice versa with your, other stuff. So that's one of the things that we see a lot. So if any of you have the Shopify's and stuff like that, please be mindful of that. Pull your report, make sure that you record all of your gross income, and then note all of your transaction fees. Okay, because those transaction fees are tax deductible. As far as the expenses, one more thing when it comes to income, any loan proceeds is not to be counted as income. So if you get a loan from the bank, that's not categorized as income, right? That's a liability, right? So you could be, paying taxes on income that you don't need to report. Okay. When it comes to expenses, same thing when it comes to like credit card payments. Right. So I get it. When we all startups, we have to use credit cards, to replace cash flow and things like that. Here's what I recommend, especially if you're a startup and you maybe don't have, what you need to apply for a business credit card at the moment. Just dedicate one card and use that card only for your business expenses. Why? Because the interest that accumulates is tax deductible. Any fees related to that credit card is tax deductible. But hear me clearly, the credit card payments themselves are not tax deductible, right? So say if you spent $100 on Amazon supplies and things like that, those expenses are tax deductible, not the payment, because you're basically just paying it back, right? And then the next thing, when it comes to what we call owner's draw, paying ourselves, right? That's not an expense. You're removing the equity, right, from your business. So I just want to make sure that everybody understood that as well, right? So if you got about $10,000 in net profit and you want to take about $2,000 out for yourself, which you are fully entitled to, that's why we're in business, to make money, right? Take care of things. So that $2,000 will be reflected on your balance sheet and not your profit and loss statement. It is not an expense. Okay. So those are the
I
things.
love that you emphasize that, because why is it and I don't know if this is a Black founder thing or a small business founder, I don't really know, but we get guilt when we go to pay ourselves. Like, we legit think we can pay everybody else and it's okay, but when we go to pay us, it's like, oh, let me keep it in the business. Oh, we gotta do something else with it. Why is that? Where does that come from?
Just fear. Because I was the same way. It's just fear. Because at the end of the day, it's kind of like that. What was that book called? Leaders Eat Last, kind of that type of thing. Where even if kind of like you're just waiting for something to drop.
Yeah.
Like the other shoe to drop. And then as soon as you take that money out, then you start, like you said, beating yourself up for things. But that's why you got to make sure that you have a process for checking your numbers, at least on a monthly basis. That keeps you from doing things like that and avoids the guilt and shame, stuff like that.
Nice. Okay.
Yep. And so next thing on the third point of our checklist, once you calculate your income and your expenses, then you'll be able to know what your net profit is. So if you have a positive number, that means you generated a profit. I'm assuming most of us on the call have like LLCs where you will have to file the Schedule C form, right? So if that is the case, say you have $1,000 in net profit, whoop, whoop, right? You're going to have to pay self-employment taxes, which is 15.3% on that $1,000. Okay. and that can be applied towards your, your AGI, your adjusted gross income. If your net profit is negative, that means you had a loss. Okay. Be mindful that the IRS will be kind of taking a look-see of how many years you're recording a loss. They normally say about three years you have to at least start building up to positive income, positive net profit, but just be aware of that. Even if the the loss, like say the first time you had $10,000 loss, the next year you had a negative $3,000 loss, and then that's still growth, right? So we always want to be trailing towards the profit. Okay. So just being aware of that. So if you do end up having a loss, that also goes towards your adjusted gross income as well. All right. For those of us who are still working your 9 to 5 and doing your business on the side, a lot of times when you first file your taxes, or maybe within the first 3 years, you're gonna get bopped upside the head with that high tax bill. It never fails, right? Because we're not, tending to the numbers. One of the ways that you can kind of help alleviate a lot of that and soften the blow on your W-4, there's a worksheet for additional income that you may earn, and you can take a little bit more out of your 9 to 5 check to compensate for whatever you may earn from your business.
Nice. Good advice.
Okay. Next thing, if you have any equipment, or if you're using your vehicle, any fixed assets, make sure that you are depreciating those. Definitely talk to a tax professional so they can walk you through how to do that, right? But also, as always, make sure that you include your receipts, because when you're depreciating those assets, we have to know when you purchased it, and then when the item was actually put into business operation, right? So your tax professional can hook you up on that. Okay. Next thing, you want to make sure that your taxes are filed on time. Attention, all of my businesses that are filing S Corp election, the 1120, the partnerships, the 1065s. I'm missing somebody. I can't think off the top of my head. The S Corps, our regular corporate, our C Corps, yeah, and our partnerships. Those returns have to be filed a month early, March the 15th. Okay. I get that question a lot too. So say I have a business, can I just go ahead and file my business taxes first, then my personal taxes? It depends on what type of entity you have. If you're a single member LLC, you can't do that. If you're a sole proprietor, you can't do that, because that Schedule C has to be filed with your personal return, with your 1040. But if you're filing the 1120 to 1065, those you can file those separate from your personal return. Okay. The next thing I have down
Oh,
here.
I got a question here. Is it
What's
true
up?
that this year, depending on where your business is registered at, because of the storm, some states have given extensions?
Correct. That is correct. So just check in. You can check in with the IRS or check in with your state to see what that is. I want to say you may be able to check in with the SBA as well.
Nice. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, definitely take that into consideration. Tennessee, we don't have income tax, but we do have business tax, but every state is going to be different. So check in with your state department. The next thing, as we're going through the taxes, this is a great time to also make sure that your entity has all the things necessary for entity renewal. So now we're going to start talking about sales tax, your business tax, whatever tax that's required for your respective State Department of Revenue, right? So in the state of Tennessee, for example, we have, if you're a sole proprietor, LLC, or what have you, your entity is one thing that you set up with the Secretary of State, but you still have to acknowledge that your entity is permitted to do business within your state, right? Because especially in the state of Tennessee, we get that a lot. I paid $300 for my LLC. They should know that. No, ma'am, no, sir, because LLCs can be used for a myriad of things, right? So in addition to filing your stuff with the Secretary of State, make sure that you have a separate business license, okay? Check for us in Tennessee, that belongs to the local municipality. So check in with your county, with your city, whoever holds the business license. Make sure that you are full understanding about what you need to do there. Okay. And then also, depending on what type of industry your business is in, contact your Department of Revenue to find out what other types of taxes you're going to be responsible for. Okay, like sales tax or any other type of tax. In the state of Tennessee, our LLCs also have a separate tax called the franchise and excise tax, right? So, and a lot of times people just assume that the $300 is it. No, ma'am, no, sir. You can mess around and have a business for 10 years. And then when it's time for you to get some funding, your lender is going to ask you for something called a certificate of existence. And the certificate of existence is the document that lets you know that you're in good standing with your Secretary of State or with the state. And the number one way that the folks in Tennessee cannot get that certificate is that they have not filed their F&E tax, right?
Mhm.
So make sure you check with your Department of Revenue and your Secretary of State to ensure that you are fully aware of every tax that you need for your entity and your industry. Okay?
Nice.
All right. So I'm gonna skip past the annual report. That's pretty much for your entity, like I said, as well. Franchise and excise tax, that's for the state of Tennessee. And last but certainly not least, we talked about the BOI. Okay, so like I said before, I will not to say not to worry about the fines, worry about filing.
Right, right.
File it. And then, because that's why I was telling the folks on TikTok, because they were freaking out. I was like, look, go ahead and file it. If they send you anything in the mail, let me know, because I want to know so I can tell my people, right? So I'm gonna tell y'all the same thing, right? So don't worry about it. Like I said, when it comes to, we're in, transition with our, administration, with presidential administration, I guarantee you something is going to probably change, right? So let's just sit and see what happens. Get some popcorn if you need to. Let's just sit and see what happens, okay? So just fear not, just get it filed. Okay, so that's pretty much what I have for the tax prep checklist. Like I said, it's Q4. We are in evangelism season, and we just want to make sure that everybody is good. Oh, one other thing. Got about this. The blessed 1099s. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have given money, if you as a business have given money to another business for services and you pay them over $600, you are obligated to give them or issue them something called a 1099 NEC, non-employment compensation, right? You remember what I told you in my story earlier about the folks fighting over them W-9s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. This is the thriller in Manila, rumble in the jungle. Right. So if you have not been keeping track of that, this is what I say. If you have a vendor, you've already paid them, and then you get with them and say, hey, I need you to complete this W-9, and they ghost you, that means they don't have any integrity. I want to do business with them again.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. All right. And so so as a best practice, before you issue anybody any payment, make sure you get that W-9. Regardless if you pay them $5, better have it, not need it, and need it, not have it.
Right.
Right? And on the flip side, right? So GIP, right? Say if Tawana hired GIP, right? And Tawana, gives us money over $600. Tawana's going to issue us a 1099. But guess what GIP is going to do? We're going to go ahead and issue our W-9 to Tawana with our first invoice, right? So business owners, be mindful of that as well. to go
Nice.
ahead, update your W-9 every year and go ahead and just have that along with your invoice and your, whatever you, have you receive your income, right? So, yeah, because those are due January 31st.
Very, very good advice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does get confusing with all the different dates you have to remember, right? That gets so confusing, and they all come around so quickly. It's like we just did that. Yeah, it's time to do it again.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's actually what we're doing for our clients now is reviewing the vendor payments and expenses and to give them a list of who we feel needs to be issued a 1099.
Yeah, very, very good. What tools do you recommend your clients use? Like we use QuickBooks, right? I know there are a lot of other, for one of our businesses, we use QuickBooks. Another one, we use a different software that the accountant that we use prefers.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any tools that are superior over the others for small businesses particularly?
That's a very good question. I would definitely recommend that whatever software is best for your budget, start with that
Mm,
first. Okay.
okay.
Because you got the fresh books, you got the honey books, you got the wave, right? All those things. And at the end of the day, I'm just gonna be honest with you. As your business grows, you're gonna eventually get the QuickBooks anyway. Right? At the end of the day, you're gonna be with QuickBooks anyway, right? So we are a QuickBooks endorsed firm with certified QuickBooks Pro advisors. So that's pretty much who we roll with. Reason being is because QuickBooks has a subscription level for the different levels of business, but it is a monthly fee. So that's why I was like, I get it. No offense taken. Get that wave, sis. Get that wave, bro, for the free. And then as you grow, you can come on to QuickBooks because one of the things that we've noticed is that some of those softwares won't provide all of the necessary reporting that you may need, right? And in most cases, especially with startups, you probably only need the P&L anyway. But depending on your industry, you may need the balance sheet. If you're applying for funding, you're definitely going to need the balance sheet,
Right.
right? Which a lot of those softwares are not going to be able to provide. However, you remember my accounting manager that I'll tell you about, Latasha Phillips? She created a formula-based spreadsheet called the DIY tracker. And with the DIY tracker, you're able to take your transactions from your online banking account, copy it and paste it into that spreadsheet. You can categorize your income and expenses. And then on the back end, it's going to auto tabulate your income and expenses and give you your profit and loss data, your balance sheet data. And it's also going to give you some graphs about your ROI, your profit margins, and things like that. So there are different, if you want to do Excel, cool, but just make sure that you have something formula based that's going to give you the bang for your book. And so she just recently did a webinar about pain-free financial. So she has what we call the Boss Up Your Books, where you can get the DIY tracker, and she's actually going to go through and offer a live tutorial for
We
it.
may need to get Latasha on here to talk to the people.
Mhm.
That's what's
Exactly.
up.
A great
Mhm.
little master class right there.
Yeah,
Yes, it
that's
is.
wonderful.
Mhm.
That is really good. Do you guys ever do any kind of QuickBook training? So we had a prior business partner for the 10K project, and she did the QuickBooks. She comes from a bookkeeping background,
Yeah.
and when she left the organization, gave me like this tutorial. I was like, oh, I got it, right? You're a good teacher. I'm a good learner. I got it, girl. Bye. When I went in there by myself and tried to do it,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, what's happening here? Like, why is this not intuitive? What is going on? Like, I think I'm pretty smart. Why can't I do this? Girl, like, I was like, I need to find a QuickBooks class immediately. Okay.
Yes, we do provide what we call QuickBooks setup classes. Um, Especially normally when in or businesses um purchase that setup is normally on the onset, or just like you said, like they may have transitioned from a bookkeeper or are thinking, that or transition from another internal teammate. and sometimes they need a refresher, right? So we do offer that for $500 is that provides you with 2 hours. And we also record the sessions as well. Because just like you said, we don't want you like, I forgot everything, stuff like that, because we got all types of stuff going in and out of our brain, right? And then with that QuickBooks setup, especially with that second hour, we kind of tailor it to whatever the primary functions are for your QuickBooks. Session 1 is primarily for walking you through how to categorize your expenses, how to categorize your income, and trying to think, also walking you through like the rules, because we want to try to automate as much as possible,
Right.
right? The rules, connecting your bank account, all that good stuff. Make sure your company file is set up the right way. Session 2, because you got to have homework in between, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
your stuff connected, then we got to make sure you got everything categorized. Session 2, we walk you through the reconciliation. Reconciliation is just a big old word for match, right? And when you reconcile your account, you're just matching everything that's on the bank statement with everything that's in QuickBooks. Because sometimes, tech be teching.
Right.
And, because it's designed to sync with your bank account every 24 hours.
But sometimes it disconnects.
Exactly.
Actually, oftentimes it disconnects.
It does. It does. Yeah, we get that a lot. We get that a lot. Sometimes they say it's around security. It might just be also due to the bank that you have. Because we
Mm.
have certain clients that we don't have that issue at all. Maybe like once every 3 months or so. But if you got like, I think what, First Horizon gonna do that thing at least once every 2 weeks. Like, you got
Based
come.
on security rules, they have to drop the connection for a
Mm-hmm.
third party trying to connect to something. So that is a true technical requirement that we need to disconnect, and you have to reconnect to establish the connection again, because that's how fraud happens. And
Yeah.
that's how piggybacking happens. So that's
Mhm.
why it does it. I know that doesn't make it better, but there
It
is
makes sense from a safe, like
Yeah.
I'd rather be inconvenienced than to have
Right.
fraud attack, right? So I definitely understand, but it is frustrating because when you reconnect it, it don't go back. Like, it's
right.
not like you know how when like back in the day when your computer messed up, you go back and redo the time that you knew it worked right, and reschedule it and it gives you everything it missed. It don't do that.
No.
So,
This is an argument for everything like that. This is a technical issue that has a real live, like a use case that isn't solvable because it literally picks up where it can reconnect. It doesn't have any history kind of cognitive because it's not caching it because it's not connected.
right. So
Right.
I have an issue now where I hadn't been in a while, life been lifing. And so
Mhm.
I realized it hadn't captured anything since April. I
Mhm.
reconnected it, the other day, but now I've got like 6 months of statements I gotta get in there. So it's
Mhm.
like, ah,
Right. So especially in a situation like that, if there is a gap, you can, download those transactions from your bank in a CSV or QuickBooks format and then
okay.
upload them that way. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Look at that. I got us another tip, y'all.
CSVs are
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Absolutely. So
This
yeah,
is
we do
good.
offer QuickBooks setup.
Any questions for Sonia community? Any questions? I know I see some of you in here, so I know I got some business owners in here. Any questions?
How do we work with you is the biggest question.
The
Okay.
next question.
All right. Yes. So our website is currently being revamped. We're in a process of being a rebranding. So yay for that. But I do have a link for you to schedule a discovery call with us. It's a 15-minute call where we do ask you to do a small intake form to give us some base level information about your business. And then we, talk about what solutions that you have. Our most recent thing that we started is an online community called GIP Academy. And so let me tell you the story behind GIP Academy. So remember I was telling you about the workshops that we do.
Mhm.
Um, we get a lot of great feedback, like, Sonia, this was great. I learned so much. This was amazing. But what am I supposed to do with all this? I still need some hand holding. right? So that's how we came up with GIP Academy. So GIP Academy allows you to get the same expert level support with that element of handholding, but we keep it cost effective through it being in the online community. So
Wow.
it comes with 3 specific features. So you get access to self-paced online course library. Every webinar that we've done, we've got it in an online learning platform, but I specifically have it tiered off in a specific order. Why? Because y'all not finna get in there and start going straight to the grants, and then you tear your stuff up. We start with your personal financial behavior. From
Love it.
there, then bookkeeping basics, all the way down to payroll, to taxes, all of that. Grants is last, right? Because in the point you applying for a grant, you don't know how to talk about that grant, right? Yes, yes, yes. Right. So you get the online course library. Then you have our monthly live teaching. So once a month, we get in the community. We have, a monthly like emphasis on what we want to talk about, but we don't talk the whole hour. It's gonna be 15, 20 minutes. Then the rest of it is Q&A. So if you're doing your QuickBooks and you got a question, that's the time for you
Nice.
to, ask it, or you can just drop it in the group. You drop your question in the group. And then the most effective feature I think this is what separates us from everybody else, is you still get a quarterly one-to-one coaching from me, Latasha, or one of our teammates, because if you're doing your own books, you still need that. How am I doing? So
Right.
can you pull my P&L? What's going on? Things like that. So we want to make sure that we are able to address all of our entrepreneurs or nonprofits for that matter concern, especially with that quarterly one-to-one coaching, right? So it's $97 a month. That's our beta. We just started October the 1st.
For
So it's
all of that.
still in beta. So it's $97 a month. So I would definitely send you guys the flyer and the information to enroll in that.
Nice. And I assume you can work in any state. So the business can be in any state. Just because you're in Tennessee, you work in all the states, right?
Correct.
That
Correct.
is wonderful. That is a good value for just
Mhm.
$97 a month. It really,
Right.
really is.
Yeah, and so like I said, we just
Girl.
want to make sure that we offer something to the community specific. Like I said, every entrepreneur needs some hand holding, right? So we want to make sure to make that available. And that gives us a way too, as we're building out this platform, just to see how it works, stuff like that. So yeah, it's a win-win
Nice.
situation for everybody.
Very, very good. Any other questions?
Okay, so I wanted to share my link to the discovery call. Put that there
Perfect.
for
And
y'all.
we'll add that to our replay email as well.
Okay.
Miss Sonia, thank you so much. Again, we know that time is valuable and we hope we did not waste yours. We appreciate the time you've spent here with us. This was so, so helpful personally, but I know also for the community, this was so helpful. And I feel your spirit through the internet streets. And I feel like you are just a loving, caring, kind, considerate partner. And so to all of the businesses that work with you already and that will work with you, I know they will be blessed. Like I feel it. I feel how helpful, I feel how patient. Because sometimes you do feel like you are like, I should be smart, like I did with the QuickBook, like I should be smarter than this. Why can't I get this? Right. And we're hard on ourselves sometimes, and we need somebody to gently educate us and let us know, I got your back. So I feel that from you. And
Mm.
so that makes me excited for everyone that's going to work with you, because
Right.
that's important.
Thank you for that. That's part of our brand, right? To be relatable. And we just want everybody to win, right? For everybody to get, that's our vision, to see entrepreneurs get the funding that they deserve. So that's our vision. That's what we want to
Get
see.
that. Well, you are living that brand, because I didn't know that was your brand, and I get that. I'm feeling all of that. So well
Yeah.
done, sis.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again.
Question.
Have a happy holiday.
We have a question
Felicia,
here.
did you
Hold
want to
on.
add? You had a question? Oh.
Miss Patrice has a question here. So
Oh,
she says, I can see value as a retired person with her supporting my financial guidance and needs. So that's awesome.
yes. And
environment.
Patrice, I could also see some of your projects that you're getting ready to start working on. This would be a good partner for that as you start building your community. Just saying.
That's great. And we would love to work. We would love to work with y'all. Absolutely.
Very good.
I'm glad that you found it helpful. Miss Patrice had said earlier, she said, "Oh, this sounds like work. I don't want to do this." I said, "Just come to the session. Just come and listen. See, it always just showing up is half the battle. You got to show up, and you never know what you'll be blessed with. So here you go."
That's it.
But thank you so very much.
Sonia, thank you so much for joining us, my dear. You have a blessed evening, a wonderful holiday. Hope you get loved on a lot.
Same to you guys. Happy Turkey Day.
Yes,
All right, my
thank
dear.
you.
Thank you. So Talisha, I'm going to stay a minute so we can talk a little bit about do a debrief on the retreat.
Okay.
All right.
See y'all
Thank
later.
you.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye. Thank you guys for hanging out and for staying with us this evening. I hope you enjoyed that session. I found that very, very helpful for those who are entrepreneurs or even just personally. A lot of the stuff she talked about were things that even from a personal tax standpoint, we need to know. So that was really, really good. And I wanted to talk about the retreat a little bit. First of all, Talisha, I got reprimanded. We can't call Miss Patrice Miss Patrice. She is just Patrice.
I call everybody.
She wanted to know why I didn't start everybody calling her Miss.
Well, because again, I called my younger brother, who is also like 26 years younger than me, Mr., because I have home training. So don't be mad at my home training, y'all.
When the people tell you what they want to be called, you got to listen. So I'm not getting in trouble no more. I'm just going to call her
You
Patrice.
can call her whatever you want. Miss Patrice knows what I'm calling her. And she knows she called me all kinds of things. So let's be real, Miss Patrice. We ain't gonna even start that conversation.
Oh, she said she's getting accustomed to her title. Okay. Maybe we get a pass. Maybe we get a pass.
Polite over in this side. And like I said, you ain't having my mama beat me for nothing. Okay. Y'all don't want to see Tina. You don't.
So I just wanted to debrief a little bit and talk about the retreat. First of all, happy to be back. I missed you guys terribly. But we had an amazing 2 weeks in Morocco. So for those of you who may not know, I hosted our very first 10K project retreat. We put the call out to the whole community. I assumed there'd be some men and some women and maybe some couples or whatever. But instead, I was blessed to be able to be entrusted with the hearts of 10 amazing Black women who took the call, right? And got those first 10 slots. And we had an amazing week filled with love, laughter, just this a beautiful spiritual awakening. It was absolutely amazing. The thing I loved the most about it was these women were not handpicked. I think the universe picked them, but I didn't handpick them, right? But they all had synergies. It was as if we picked them to work together. So again, this amazing experience where they've connected on side opportunities and businesses. It's just like I can't brag enough on how beautiful week 1 was. When I went into the retreat, I thought, I'm going to give it a try. Like it was on my heart to do it, but I was like, because it's a job, right? Putting together anything is a job. Especially when you got 10 Black women, you got to impress because y'all know how we be, right? We ain't easy. And so your girl was kind of scared. Like, what did I get myself into? But I wanted to build this great experience for them. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do it again. And after the retreat, I thought, have to. If I could make the impact I believe I made in the space that we were in, and it wasn't just me, right? It was the space, it was the women, it was all of it working together. So I can't even begin to take credit. That's not at all what I'm saying. I was just a vessel, right? But if all of those things worked together the way that they did, and we had this amazing time, how could we not do this again? How could we not make another impact in the lives of other women? And so this is where the brothers going to be mad at me, because remember I said when I put the call out the first time, it wasn't about gender. I didn't say anything about gender. And as the women started coming in and I started talking about sis, I'm talking to you, like then it kind of organically became about the women. And so now I feel it in my spirit that this will be a women's retreat. It was an opportunity for those of us who are wives, mothers, sisters, friends, to just be. We didn't have to impress each other, right? We put titles outside somewhere. We were just women who cried together, laughed together, and loved each other. And there was something so special and so organically genuine about that. I want that to be what everybody feels every time we do this retreat. And so I have decided I am going to do it again. What I haven't decided is if we'll go back to Morocco or if we'll explore some other part of the world, because there's a lot of world out there for us to see. And so there's more to come on the when and the where. But if you're interested and you're like, I ain't gonna miss the next one. I missed this one, but I ain't missing the next one. Shoot me an email, trivers@the10kproject.com, so I can go ahead and put you on the first watch list because I get the impression the next time we do this, those 10 slots will go quickly. Those 10 slots will go quickly. We've taken Tracy Evans, who's here this evening. Thank you so much. She was our official photographer. I tell you, she's got probably about 3,000-4,000 pictures.
You need to see the pictures, Miss Tracy. Like that's
she's getting them together. Nobody's seen them yet. She's still looking at them and trying to edit them, but she did an amazing job. The few that she sent over, when I tell you she has a beautiful eye for photography, like, I take pictures, right? I just snap, just snap it. You ain't even got to smile at me. I'm just snapping. When I tell you every picture was so well thought through, I've seen some of these shots and it's like, first of all, I didn't even know she took that picture. And then it's like, wow, it could be hung up in a museum somewhere. So I'm also scared that we're going to waste her time not taking care of these pictures because I feel like they should be somewhere on display because they're so beautiful. We just going to post them on the internet, Tracy. So I hope you don't feel like we wasted your time, but an amazing eye for beauty. And you said, I have plans. Okay. And she was so patient with all of us and she was one of our participants as well. So not only did she come and enjoy the retreat from a participant standpoint, we put her to work. And she did that with a smile on her face every single day. And the wisdom of Patrice, just in all the other ladies. I mean, it was just wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. I'm gonna try not to get emotional, but thank you all for entrusting me with your time, your week. You could have spent your money on anybody else, somebody who did 25 retreats. You could have, right, spent your money with them. You could have kept it to invest, right? Because that's what we do around here. But the fact that you trusted me with a week of your life, and then for some of us, a few days on the back end after everybody else left, it means the world to me. It really, really does. And I thought I was just going to be there as a retreat, leader, but I was a participant. And when I tell you, I walked away with my spirit intact, with my heart healed, and just with love all around me. I felt it. Any doubt I may have had about that was debunked. These women loved on me. And I was there to love on them, and they reversed it on me. And that wasn't always easy to take, right? Because I'm used to being a mama bear, right? I'm the one taking care of everybody else. But they loved on me in a way that I didn't know I needed. And so to them, I say thank you. This was a wonderful experience. To Mwasi, Tanisha, and Jalal, who hosted us. Many of you are Mwasi investors. They hosted us. The space is a beautiful space. It is, still in development mode. When I think about what Mwasi will be in 2-3 years, it's just brings a smile to my face. It was beautiful already, but if they can do everything they want to do, it will be a Black oasis for us to just live and be. And so it'll be an escape. And, you know, depending on what you think about the current climate of our nation, we may need a place to escape to. And so it will be a beautiful one to do so. It was hard to leave. I stayed a whole nother week afterwards, and it was very difficult not to extend that trip a few more days. The place almost captivates you, right? And wants to keep you hostage in a good way, right? like you want to be just nestled there. Your room becomes your space, and you get like, it just feels like home. It really does. That's it. That's it. It felt like home from the moment we arrived to that last day. It felt like I was leaving home. And so to Tanisha, thank you for sharing your home, because they live there, right? They run a business and they live there. Thank you for sharing your home with the 10K project. Okay. I just wanted to get that out. It's been bottled up for a week, right? I got home last Monday, right? And it's been bottled up. But this community is just wonderful. This is not always easy to do. And some days the coins ain't coming in like they supposed to come in, and it gets discouraging. But when I tell you that this community is special and the people here are special and amazing. I didn't tell you what these 10 women do. Like, I told you they were amazing women and they're going to work together and do all that stuff, because I can't tell you their business. But when I tell you these 10 women are amazing, they are 10 out of what? We've got 2,000 paid members, more than that, just part of the community. This community, magical, magical. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And for those of you who are out there and you don't feel like you've blossomed yet or that you're shining, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. You are surrounded by greatness, and you are attracted to this place because of that, because you yourself are great. And so do not be discouraged. Keep moving forward. Keep pushing. I used to say all the time when we first started, get that idea book out of your nightstand drawer, out the junk drawer, right, that we all have, get it out of there and dust it off, open it up, and reimagine your dreams. Reimagine them. It is not too late. I mean that. If I didn't learn anything else those weeks in Morocco, these women are living, even with everything else going in their lives, they are living their dreams. And they're not pretending it's easy to do, but they are doing it. They're living in their excellence, and you deserve to live in yours. So do it. And that message is for the brothers too, because y'all gonna be mad at me because I'm not inviting you to the next retreat, but I don't want you to be mad at me because I want you to live your dreams too. So, but you can't come to the next retreat. The girl power got it on lock, sorry. We got it on lock. Y'all should have joined when the call was out, and then it would be just a Black people's retreat. But now it's a Black women's retreat, and I'm not even apologizing. That's how beautiful it was. T-Shine, do you want to say anything, my love?
No, ma'am. I glad that the women and you had a wonderful time. That is exactly what we strategized for. We put a lot of thought and effort into it, and I am glad that it came to fruition the way that it did.
It did. It did. Thank you for everything. You know, Talisha is always behind the scenes doing all the things, right? I get to talk about it. I get to brag about it, but she is doing all the things, creative, technical, you name it. She is the backbone of this business. She really is. She really is. And I could not do this without her. I could not. And I know she knows that because I say it all the time, but I want all of y'all to know it too. I could not do this without her. If she told me, ET, I'm out, I'd be like, oh, I really have to reconsider some things. So, T-Shine, I love you, and I am really, really blessed to have you in my life. I mean, you're my best friend, you know, and business partner. That's a plus. That's the bonus. You know, to have met you late in life was the best thing, best gift that God and the universe could have given
I
to
think
me.
that's, again, that's the power of community. See, again, we started from a very obscure, just having similar likes. And I think that's a testament to all kind of things, because this wasn't the group. We didn't come together. We formed this, but we came together for something else. And the community keeps you that way. That's how you really integrate with people and find the people that are really necessary for you to start doing the things you do. So community isn't just to be like, oh, I got to come on Mondays, or, oh, I got to be there on Tuesdays. It's also for you to find the tribe that you build. And I think that's the most important part. So I do enjoy that about our community here, and that's how we started. We're going to keep on rolling.
I'll keep on doing it. When I met Talisha, you know, some people say, when I met that person, I knew they were going to be my husband, or I knew they were going to be my wife. When I met Talisha for the first time, I knew she was going to be my friend, because of all the people we were around. I was like I feel like a little spiritual
Just
connection
watch me
here.
eat, and she was like, "Girl, you can throw down." I was like, "Yes, ma'am."
First of all, she this small, right? She this small, and she kept eating. She was eating. She could eat me under the table. I'm like, now I'm a big girl. Like, how she eating more than I'm eating? So there was
That was
that.
it. I impressed her right there. She was like, "Yeah, we're
I
gonna
was
hang
so
out."
impressed.
Like, let's go to eat.
And then she was so smart. So I had a joke. I used to call her Encyclopedia Brown. Because if you guys remember that show, he knew everything about everything. And like I felt like Talisha knew everything about everything this weekend when we first met in person. And I still feel like that. Like she is the information hub of the 10K project. She knows something about everything. And she always makes me want to take a deeper dive. And so when you meet somebody that makes you want to be better, like you gotta open your eyes and hold that person close. But so T-Shine, I don't want to get too sappy. I think I've done way too much already with that, but I love you. I absolutely love
you. And yes, Miss Latrice, we do too. Thank you. We really appreciate you. Picked it up and we're running.
Yes. All right, guys. We are back tomorrow night. We've got a pitch. Tomorrow's night presentation is it's a spirit company. I'm gonna say this, and I know we've got is I don't want to call nobody out, but is one of our founders on that doesn't. He always tells me I don't invest in.
Spirit.
He's not on. Darn. I wanted him to be on because I want him to hear this. I would love for you guys to come to this presentation. It's a spirits company. And I know we've had a couple of spirits companies before, but this sister is living in her dream. She's got the support of her family, her mom and her sister, helping her build this business. And product is so good, she ran out of supply. And she's trying to raise the money to get more supply. And I want her to win so bad. She's a young woman. If I had the money she needed to give her outright, that's how strongly I feel about this one, is I would give her the money, because there's something about this young woman. Like, yeah, I want to see all the founders win, but you know, sometimes it's just you meet somebody and it's like they're special. And I want us to all come out for her. Obviously, you know, I want you to hear the presentation, make the decision for yourself. I'm never going to tell you what to invest in because I'm not a broker, right? And that's not what we do here. But I do ask that you all come out tomorrow night if you can, and we support her live. I think that would be wonderful for her to have the support. I do feel like she's at a season where she's trying to push through, but I heard a little weariness in her voice the other day, and not in a bad way, but just in a I got to get this done kind of, you know, way. And I want us to be a part of that for her. So join us tomorrow and hear the presentation. Is Ego Tequila is the brand. You know, typically I don't tell y'all the brand. Typically I make y'all wait, but I'm not making you wait today. I'm telling you the brand. I even asked her to post in the Facebook group the other day so that we can start kind of getting familiar with her. And I want to do a little something extra for this one, just to
This
kind
is
of put her out.
a good aspect to the holiday season. This is a giving. All you got to do is show up. Like,
That's
show
it.
up for
Just
the
show up.
giving. And she's thankful for that, just for those purposes. So if we can get into the holiday spirit a little early and just give of your time, I think that would make a wonderful gift to this founder.
That's a wonderful way to put it. And even if you don't typically invest in spirit brands, show up anyway for her.
Show up. We need this movement. I think that's what we need to see. And that would actually be a wonderful, wonderful gift for our founder tomorrow.
I love that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With that said, I'm going to say good night. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Again, thank you to Sonia for the wonderful information. When we get the replay out, we'll get that link that she sent out, and she said she's going to redo her tip sheet, which was a nice tip sheet. So we'll get that out as well. And if we want, I know Talisha likes to get this replay out quick. She don't be playing, right? She don't be wanting to wait for nothing and nobody. She's gonna get this replay out. So it may be in the next communication.
It'll take some time, but I will wait for her, because I think it is good that we get all the stuff in there for you so that you can reference it and hear her talk about it too. So it's a good one.
Good.
I'll be patient this time.
Yeah, because T-Shot, I'll call, I'll be like, can you put the, she'd be like, then I'll see it pop in my email. I'm like, oh, that ship has sailed. She already sent it. So
I'm just sitting here. This again, I'm gonna have it. I just do what I do. So it's like this, the minute that I'm done with this, I'm at work. So that's how that works.
All right, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.